So, hello everyone, and welcome to this second episode of Being a Qualitist, where on behalf of Kimpro Foundation, we talk to some leading quality professionals in India and soon around the globe. In our first episode last month, we spoke to Dr. Parag Rindani of Wockhardt Hospital, who was the first Qualitist of the month in May this year. As you know, and if you didn't know, I'm now informing you that the term qualitist was coined by Dr. J.M. Juran in his book A World History of Quality. And in the same book, he also commented that the 21st century will be the century of quality. And we are, as quality professionals, trying to seize the opportunity, trying to make an impact. And this is a humble attempt from our part in trying to make the quality profession a little bit more inclusive and popular. Uh, Giving our profession a name was one of his key suggestions, and therefore that is where the Qualitist name came in. And this suggestion, of course, in India and around the world, has been embodied and evangelized by Dr. Suresh Lula, our guru, and he, along with Kimpro Foundation, one of his ventures, he's been for the last few years he's been trying to identify, recognize, and promote quality talent all around us. And today we'll be talking to one such role model quality professional, a true qualitist. And in a minute we'll get to speak to the guest today. We are of course delighted to see the interest in quality. As we start the session, those who are on LinkedIn or YouTube, give me a shout out on where you are from and what brings you here. What would you like to ask our guest today? Be active. We will of course are trying to build this community, and every bit of effort from you and all of us does help. Right. So but there are, of course, before we get into the show, there are some key announcements, or rather information that I want to share. If you like the idea of being a qualitist and it is intriguing and you want to know more, please check kimpro.com. I will leave, of course, you can see the website name on the screen. And we will also leave links in the comment section later on as well. I would strongly urge you to consider applying for one, becoming a qualitist, and that will help you have a clear identity about the profession and yourself, right? So I now invite my partner in crime today, Balaji Reddy, the founder of the Deming Forum of India and a true qualitist himself, and he will introduce the guest and initiate the session. Welcome, Balaji.
Morning, Anshuman. It's always a pleasure being here. And before I proceed, I think this is the first time we are meeting after that wonderful talk you gave at the QCI National Quality Promotion Board on Quality 4.0. So I'd urge anybody here watching this to please watch that video too. Anshuman was amazing. So great to see you here, Anshuman. And of course, another exciting interview today. I think last month it was great to interview Dr. Parag Rindani, the qualitist in his own right, and he was, we call him the reluctant qualitist, right? But here we have, Mr. Sumant Sood. Again, my interaction with him has been mostly, during the Qualtech Awards, and I think the audience must know that when you're being a judge or an examiner, I can tell you this: the excitement that we get to that builds up when we are listening to presentations by Titan, because invariably they land up in the innovation category, and they take us by surprise every single time. And the innovations are also worth, and the presentations they make, of course, are amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, even in the quality fables, I think they've been winning quite a few, awards there. So it'll be great to interact with Mr. Sumant. Now, just to give you a brief background about Mr. Sumant, what really is heartening to note, okay, is that he's a graduate from pure science. And he really gives us engineers something to think about, because we have this we think we're on a pedestal, we engineers, and here's a person from pure science giving us a run for our money, and I mean it in a good sense. We should never forget that we engineers are applied scientists, and we rely a lot on pure science for all of the knowledge that we need. And in fact, it's no surprise that in Japan, they have a Japanese Union of Scientists and Engineers. So here we are. So he's a graduate from pure science with 34 years of experience. Okay, 34 golden years, and I think 28 of them have been at Titan. And he began, of course, as a senior production manager, but now he's heading the innovation department, right? And not only has he been with production, he's been with production, category management, systems, corporate communications, sustainability, and of course, uh, business excellence. He's also acquired multiple qualifications, all right, from both Indian and international universities. So he's not just been sitting on his haunches waiting for things to happen. He's made things happen. And in the areas of sustainability, innovation, and design thinking. Wow. I mean, Mr. Sumant, it is such a pleasure to have you here. And I think even during our interactions at Qualtech, we've always been, you know, talking about how does Titan manage to, come up with these innovations every single time. Just to let you know, we'll have a live with the audience, a live question and answer session towards the end. So please hold your questions, okay, till for about half an hour, or else I could miss some of the questions that could be asked early on, right? So let's begin, Mr. Sumant. It's good to have you here, and since I began with this innovation thing, okay, I mean, I can tell you this, okay. Um, I remember the first watch that I was gifted in my life was a Tissot, and the Swiss watch, and always we always grew up saying quality and watchmaking go hand in hand, literally, right? And but I just want to ask you something here because quality and watchmaking are synonymous, but innovation, invention, we always think a little. So how did you bring this culture, right, into this? When you're talking about a traditional manufacturing and process focused company, how did you bring this innovation culture into Titan? Could you please just let throw some light on that?
Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, Anshuman, and good morning to all of y'all who are watching this show. Uh, so, uh, basically, Titan started off as a watch company, and in '93 they diversified when they started the pilot plant for jewelry. And there were very few of us who came from the jewelry background. I think there were a handful. There were about 5 or 6 of us. The rest were all people who came in from the watch division, who were transferred from the watch division. So there was a lot of quality that they were bringing in. So they were familiar with the quality standards, and for us, practically, who had come from the jewelry business, it was a shock because while we used to look at things, in a 10x loop, they would start looking at quality from a 20x microscope there. So it was a 10 times jump onto quality. And in the initial days, I remember when we launched Tanish. In fact, I don't know if you, I'd like to share with you that yesterday Tanish celebrated 25 years of existence. So we launched Tanish 25 years back. But in the days, when we were in the pilot plant, we were in a small uh, room inside the watch factory. And I think the first product that we wanted to launch were uh, watches, and gold watches. And we were making bracelets. And while I joined in March, I think we accepted the first two bracelets, which got accepted, were in the month of August. So you can just imagine that April, May, June, July, we were making. And every time we used to make, it used to go for quality inspection and it used to get rejected. And when we were looking at quality, and at that time, our MD was Mr. Desai, Zaks Desai. And when he used to explain quality, so he would talk about aesthetic, he would talk about form, and he would talk about functionality. So if you have a strap, he would pick a strap and then hold it down and say, every link should be uniformly free. You cannot have a link which is tight. So those were the aspects that he was, used to convey with us. And which go to his office, he would pick up dolphin. I remember he had a dolphin, and he would say, just feel, how it's smooth. It's absolutely smooth. So it was all about aesthetic. It was all about feeling. It was all about functionality. And all these things were, taught to us, and that's how we started. That's where the quality came in. Later on, I think a lot of people, when we did the business excellence movement, a lot of assessors used to come and ask, okay, but why aren't you doing Six Sigma and all? And then it used to be difficult to explain to them, that these were not automated processes; these were manual processes that we were doing. And but coming from there, today we have a lot of automation in our factory. If you come today to a factory, you'll be surprised because it looks more like an automobile factory. There's a lot of automation, robots and all working there. So we've tried to automate all extent. And today in the factory, we also practice Lean Six Sigma. So it's been a journey that has taken place.
No,
Wow.
fantastic. I think, yeah. Thanks, Sumant, for a wonderful, you know, in a way, a summary of Titan's journey as well, right? So, and like Balaji said, generally we all kind of believe that quality and watchmaking is synonymous, but you have gone way beyond watchmaking as a company. But coming to you, right? So the first response was a little bit more about the company, but we also wanted to focus more on your journey. And you've been, a quality professional for years now, and of course, dabbled in related fields as well. And for our audience, and particularly from a qualitist point of view, we wanted to know more about
So
yours.
I got into it probably by accident. Uh, so actually, in the first 7 years, jewelry division never made money.
Hmm.
We were operating at a loss. And in 2000, we had new chief operating officer, Jacob Korean. And at that time, till about the time he came, the factory was very isolated from the front end of the business. We never knew what was going on in the stores, and everybody assumed that we knew. So he actually brought us closer to the stores, so that he said that you people should have an idea what's happening at the stores, and that we should start going to the stores and understanding what the customers are saying. So that was the first. Secondly, we decided to implement lean. Now our factory was because watches is produced in batches. So when our factory was conceived, created and all, it was made for batches, and it was actually conceived for us to export jewelry, make and export jewelry. So our batch quantities was one design 500 numbers, one design 1,000 numbers and all. And when we were doing lean, we were working with consultant Dilip Somaya and associates. There was a lot of learning that happened at that point of time. I had a lot of arguments with him, but I could not prevail. And I think those were the learnings that we had. And we turned around our factory. Turned around our factory meaning we reconfigured our factory over 3 days, the Diwali holidays, to move from batch production to single flow. So that was a journey that we took. And he had also said that some of us need to eliminate our jobs. Now, I was in production manufacturing downstream, and he said the planning department needs to be merged with the production department. You cannot have planning separately and production separately. And so my colleague was supposed to eliminate, but he came to me and he said, Sumant, I don't want to eliminate my job. Will you eliminate your job? So I said, okay, fine, I'll eliminate my job. And that was December 2000. So that was it. And I said by December, end of December, I will eliminate my job. From 1st January, I'll take whatever else is there. So our then CEO, Jacob Korean, he took me aside one and he said, listen, Sumant, I want you to head business excellence for the jewelry division. At that time, I had no clue what business excellence was, and because we were in the factory. And then he told me a story. He said, I'm an engineer. My father's an engineer. And he said, but my father understood the concepts, while I have, mostly mugged up all the concepts. So I don't want this business excellence, like to be an ISO 14 9000 certificate, which is on the wall. When I want you to do business excellence, it has to be practiced within the division. The second thing was that we were participating as a company for the GRDQV award, which is the equivalent of the Malcolm Baldrige. And the watch division, we were already a 500 plus company. And what he said was, we are actually pulling down watch division because they were more established businesses, processes in place, but we were just about getting started. So he said, I want you to take this journey separately, start off separately, and we will not go jointly with watch division, and let them move on and win the GRDQV award. So
Hmm.
that was the start of it, and that's when I got my first initiation. I think before that, probably I had qualified as lead auditor for ISO 9000, lead auditor for ISO 14000. So those were the beginnings of the quality journey.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
fantastic. I think
Yeah.
while you say that you are an accidental qualitist, so to say, but these are the qualitists who make the best uh, of the situation, because you come from a you know pure production or that background and know what is needed from quality, compared to some people who might start in quality and may only know what quality needs, right? So that I earlier this week, for example, I was reviewing a project, and I still remember what I said is that, look, you are trying to, and this was to an internal team. I had to say that, look, you are trying to solve your problem, not the customer's problem. We are here to solve the customer's problem.
Absolutely.
That is quality. Right? So our problem is really nothing compared to what customer's problem is. We are here to manage. So yeah. So thanks, Sumant. Balaji, you want to move on to the next
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah.
Can I just add something
This
here?
was a
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Balaji, it's
yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
important if you want to be a successful quality person or an innovation person, you must know all aspects of the business. If you don't know your business inside out, it's going to be very difficult for you to make changes or identify areas where changes would be required. So you need to have a bird's eye view, or you should have worked in most of the departments yourself, so that you get a flavor or sense of, when you go talk to them, you can talk to them in their language. Otherwise you'll be talking a quality language, and for them it'll be sounding like Greek.
Right. No, I mean, what a fascinating journey. Anjuman, last month we had someone who was a reluctant qualitist. Today we have someone who's an accidental qualitist. But wow, we got them here, and that's the important bit. All right. Uh, well, just Mr. Suman, just something that intrigued, because when Anshuman just introduced the term qualitist, when he spoke about it, it's an honor that we have this term, that we're using. I think not many people know of this, and we must be the only, Kimpro.com or Kimpro must be the only body in the world which actually uses this term. And that's all thanks to Mr. Suresh Lulla, okay, who took that seriously in History of Managing for Quality, where Dr. Duran himself said that we need to label ourselves, right? And so about this term qualitist, uh, what attributes do you think would make up a good qualitist according to you? Because we're trying to promote and help people understand this, that they need to. In the sense that we need to be proud about this. We need to know that we belong to a tribe that is doing something different. So what would be a good qualitist according to you, and what would they need to do to have an impact on the world of quality and society in general? What do you think that the attributes that you could think of?
So basically, a quality person would need a lot of perseverance. He would need networking. He would need, because he's got to understand, he should have a good understanding of the business, which is critical. He should be able to identify areas within the business. He should be able to identify areas from where they can learn, where they can benchmark companies, and therefore network with those companies. Talk to people outside industries. Mostly people, when they want to improve themselves, they talk to people from their own industry, within the industry, and say, can we learn within ourselves? But actually, both in quality as well as innovation, You need to go outside. You need to go beyond your industry. To some extent, even look at nature sometimes. Biomimicry, which gives you a lot of insights, which you can actually use. And perseverance is required, and you need to be talking the language. You need to be talking the business language when talking to business leaders. If you talk quality language, or if you talk what is written in the quality books, like, and you talk bookish language, I don't think it'll make sense to them, because business leaders want to see where is the money coming from. So if you can tell them, if we do this, your customer satisfaction will go up, or this will help you drive sales. That's the language that they understand, and that's when you will actually catch their attention. But if you are talking, we will improve processes, and it will say, so what? Why should we improve processes? We are doing well right now. So you have to be talking their language, not a quality language.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Yes.
Yeah, show me the money. Wow, right. Yeah, Anshuman?
Sure, sure. So I think while Sumant, you were bringing up this topic, I was reminded, Dr. Duran's one of, many, I would say, very foundational observations was this triple role of everybody. We are the provider, or the supplier, we are the process, and we are also the customer. The whole thing around this, and also the fact that he always challenged every quality professional to be bilingual. And this bilingual is extremely important, because the language is upwards is the language of business or money, and downwards is the language of instructions and getting things done, and the things to do kind of a language. So, and you perfectly kind of elaborated that. So thank you very much for that. Moving on. And before I do that, I think some questions have started coming in. So, guys, obviously we are about 20-25 minutes into the show. Let your questions come in. Some have already come in. So, thank you very much, Amina, Srikanth, Alvi. Thanks a lot. Let them keep coming in. We will be jumping into the live questions in a bit. Right. Okay, back to some questions that Balaji and I had prepared. One is, of course, around quality in manufacturing is an evolved subject, probably for at least about 100 odd years, at least from the Second World War time. There has been fair interest in developing the subject of quality in the manufacturing side. That's why I say it is evolved. I'm not saying it is the end of the what we need to do, but it is fairly evolved. Um, I can see. Is there a whirring sound? We'll move on. So there is some disturbance in the audio. Apologies for that, but we'll move on. I think we'll manage. Like I said, quality in manufacturing is an involved subject, but quality in services is not. And again, Dr. Duran famously said, and Mr. Lula has also been teaching this for a while. We all have observed that every company, whatever be the company, actually is far more services than manufacturing. There is a marketing department, design department, there is a procurement department, there is people department, there are all kinds of services. If you are in some consumer kind of work, or you will have some service department, you have customer sales, service, all these are all service processes. Right? Traditionally, while quality is extremely well entrenched into the manufacturing one, how do you bring this to the services side, which I believe that is probably the key differentiator today. That makes or breaks a company. How did Titan do it, and what are your views on some?
So, when we were doing this exercise on lean at the factory, the world class manufacturing, so one of the books that we were all asked to read was Who Moved My Cheese? Right? And all of them, and that was the time where we also, it was said that each one of us, even if you're sitting in a factory, you need to go and interact with the customer. So, as a result, what used to happen is on days of Dhanteras, when that's the highest selling days in the jewelry business, the factory would be empty. People from the factory would also be standing at the stores. People from corporate office would be at the stores. And of late, we started off calling ourselves, when we started about the first 10 years, we were saying we were manufacturers. Today, we say we are retailers, we are not manufacturers. Manufacturing is one of the activities, but for the customer. So everything, the mindset is that whatever we do, we are doing it for the customer. So that mindset change has happened within the company. So keep the customer in mind when we are doing anything. What if we are making a process, if we are interacting with them, and uh, I remember Jacob used to tell us, you know, if you have one dissatisfied customer, he is going to uh, tell 20 other customers that, Tanishq is bad. But if you have one satisfied customer, he's not going to tell any other customer that you're good. So we've got to make sure that we don't lose customers. We have to keep trying to acquire customers. And that's where that customer centricity came into the business. And that's how
Right.
and the other thing is, one more colleague of mine, Shaumin, he was with us when we were at the factory, and then he's moved into retail. So one of the things that he brought in, he said, in the factory we have kaizens. Why can't we do kaizens in the showroom? So kaizen started into the retail, and we were one of the first to do kaizens in the retail sector. And I can share with you a typical kaizen. So in the jewelry showroom, I mean, we have so many counters, and every counter has a lock, and there's a key. And how are all the keys kept? All in one bunch. Now in the morning, I mean, and the staff has to take out the stock at night, put it in the strong room, and in the morning come and put those stock back into the counters. So you have to open, now you got about 60 keys, and you got to figure out which key goes into which lock. Now, probably each one of us has probably got house keys. They'll have three or four. So we struggle. We don't know which key goes into which door to open in a house. So can you imagine the time that they would take to open 60 locks with 60 keys? So now this is a problem that was being felt by them. So how the Kaizen was how to identify keys. The other one was, in the jewelry business, everybody needs a calculator because the price of gold keeps changing. So when the customer asks, what is the price of this product? So you needed a calculator. But the calculators were never there when you needed them because somebody would take the calculator and disappear. So the Kaizen was, can we fix the calculator at a place so that we know where it is? So when customer asks what is the price, I'm not hunting for a calculator. So these are the typical, sort of Kaizens what they had, and this is a movement which is carried on. And I'm happy to share that last year we still went ahead with the Kaizen Mela and we did it on a virtual platform, and we
Hmm.
had I think 4,000 entries across the country across all businesses, culminating with the national finals, where we had winners from. The winner was actually from a small town, Buxar, in Orissa. So this is the sort of power that we've had, and this year we are extending the Kaizen Mela virtually to the factories also. The factories, while the factories have been having their regional, I mean, their Kaizen Mela within the factories, but we said, how can we bring them again on the similar lines like we did for retail onto a national platform? So this is something going back from retail to manufacturing. Normally,
Wow.
like you said, everything is from manufacturing to retail.
And that is
Yeah, we
truly
learn from
amazing.
each other. That's really nice. I mean, everyone who's in the field of world of quality in India, for us, our very own Dr. Juran is Mr. Suresh Lulla. There's no doubt about that. Just intrigued to know how did you learn of him and Quimpro? Could you just because I mean I think we are privileged to be under his tutelage in some way or the other. But I mean, if someone can know how you came under his tutelage and
So
interacting with
I
him.
think Mr. Lula probably Quimpro used to contact Titan, to come and apply for their awards and all. And there have been some interactions before I came in. And it's only after I moved in and took over innovation in 2012 and somebody forwarded this to me that there is awards for innovation and improvements and all, and would I be interested in applying? And I think I probably made our first application in 2013, and that was where I met Mr. Lula. And I believe that every year that we've been applying, we've been one of the winners from this. And Jiggy just to tell me, I don't know what you guys do, but you all
Tell
walk
me.
away with an award every year.
I mean, anyone who's been an examiner and a judge, I just mentioned that when we started, that's exactly what has always happened. Right? We always look forward to Titan. Yeah, right. Anshuman,
Sure. I think moving on. So I was actually reading some questions and very tempted to get into one or two questions from the audience. And guys, keep the questions coming in. So thank you those who have already asked. So I'll bring this question up on the screen actually. So that we can read. Amina is asking what challenges you faced in your journey of being a qualitist, and a few of them you may consider highlighting. I'm basically asking, you've told us the glorious part, the rosy part. What are the thorns on the road? That is
Uh,
something that Amina wanted to know.
okay, so the challenges that I face while doing the quality as well as innovation are the same. If you plot your people on a bell curve, you'll find few people who are attuned towards innovation and quality. You'll find some of them also not, they don't believe in this movement also, quality movement or the innovation movement. And the bulk are the fence sitters, right? So if by chance you encounter the people on the left side, it's like hitting, your head, banging your head on a brick wall. Uh, and so what we have actually done is try to identify the people on the right side, the people who believed in quality, believed in innovation, and try to work alongside them and then showcase and take it out to the others. And sometimes some of them were actually the head of departments. So if you had these obstacles at the head of the departments, then you know that your journey is going to be a tough one.
Very well said. I think, and I'm glad you brought in this concept that the obstacles are for any management change program, whether it is quality, innovation, or anything else also. And I'm more into IT these days, so even an IT change program, essentially the obstacles are more or less the same. So the usual suspects are the same, and some of them you pointed out. So Amina, I hope you had your answer. Thanks for asking. And there's one more question we'll ask, and then I'll move back to some of the other questions. So Zen has asked a question around, and we can ignore the word three key variables. So up to you, one, two, three, anything is welcome. Any key variables to attain excellence in quality? Essentially asking what helps us as an organization to get to quality. And he has a follow-up question where he's clarifying that quality and business excellence as one body. So any views on this?
So the one of the variables is that you've got to be humble and being. Most people think that we are the best. So the moment you think you're the best, you're not going to try and improve. So you've got to be always wanting to have a wear on a learning hat, uh, and even sometimes learn from companies who are even in the initial stage, because they may bring you some aspect which you've not considered. So we've got to be really humble, and this is something that I have learned when I've been an examiner for the Tata Business Excellence model, and even when I was examiner for the CI exim model, that even when we did companies who were not scoring very high, there were some nuggets and all which we could bring back to our own organizations. And therefore, see, that is critical for us to learn. And
Yeah.
on a lighter note, I think to the previous question, so all of us follow the PDCA, but I don't know, Mr. Dwarkanath had coined another term for PDCA.
Hmm.
That some people in Titan would probably see PD stands for please don't change anything.
No, I've heard this before, but I think coming from a practitioner, it has amazing value. So yeah, so on that note, some of the other questions also coming in. So let's stick to some questions from the audience, since many are pouring in the questions. Madhusmita Nayak wants to know where you want to position yourself as a qualitist in the future. So of course, I think Madhusmita is not questioning your future career, but probably asking from her own point of view as to
Uh,
how do we see qualitist in the future.
So basically, qualitists would be actually people who are serious practitioners of quality. And when you say when you're practitioners of quality, it need not be just at the workplace. It could also be at your home. Are you also trying to practice quality things within your home? Because if you don't do it at your home place in your own life, you will not be. It's like there's something I do at work, but I do something completely different at work, and also it won't really gel very well. But I have a obstacle there also, because when I tell first in first out, we must follow, my wife said, no, no, listen, leave that to me. And then when I tell that you must tell me, why when you're reaching a certain value, kanban sort of a thing, uh, uh, that this is only then we should get the replacements. There's no point stocking enough material food at home when you're not required. So can we follow? But there are, I think, obstacles in that. But I'm trying to teach my children those things. Hope they learn.
So Sumant, I have often, some comment at this, this is like what we teach at work or what we do at work. Don't try this at home. It comes with a warning. So, I've been trying to instill 5S at home, and it is a challenge, right? So the struggle is real for 5S at home, but you're right. On a more serious note, a qualitist at work, a qualitist at home, everything is same. You can't really take one out and expect others. For example, and this is a very personal observation. Sometimes I share with people is that there are people who I come across and will say that I'm extremely organized. They are extremely organized, but when they take out their wallet, it has bus stubs, ticket stubs from 20 years ago, and everything is there. And then they want to create a picture of being extremely organized and kaizen and 5S oriented. It actually doesn't work. It tells me more about people when I see this than their actual work. So thanks for bringing that in, Madhusmita. I hope you had your answer. Since some more questions are coming in, I will actually switch the questions to now, and then maybe towards the end we will ask one or two more of our earlier prepared questions. Shrikant wanted to know, how do you manage your learning need to enhance new and existing quality tools? So how do you manage your
So,
learning
so,
need?
so today it's very easy. There are books that we read. There are online MOOC courses are available, which we can join and carry on and do it on the weekends or even a free time that we have. The next is also networking, understanding from people. When I talk to people in different companies, I learn what they do. So these are the ways that we and the fourth one are consultants who keep bombarding us. This is something new that we've done. Would you be interested in learning? And also discussions with them.
And a little bit, if I can add, Shrikant, to what Suman said, is that with so much changing these days, it is extremely important to keep learning a little bit more. For example, I've recently enrolled in an innovation and design thinking 1 year program, um, and I did that more because at some point you start realizing that you also need to practice what you preach. So, just a little example of what all of us can do. Sneha has a question which is slightly unrelated, but maybe Sumant, you want to take
Uh,
this. What
so
is the
project
future of project management?
Project management is there to stay. It's not going to go away, but it's probably going to evolve, because even let's say when we take a improvement project, or let's say an innovation project, project management is going to be there. But the tools that we follow, would StageGate be there, or would let's say other tools like design thinking and all become more prevalent if humans are involved. And that's what's so basically we've got to keep the customer, understand the pain points of the customer, and design our solutions or improve our processes so that we improve the customer experience or the services that we provide to them. I hope that answers your question.
I'm sure it does, because it makes total sense. And Sneha, just to add to this also, that I'm quite involved with the American Society for Quality and Project Management Institute, so PMI and ASQ, and within their governing bodies also, I have been reminding them for 2 3 years now that we probably need a program on quality project management, or a project quality management, either way, because these two streams, quality management and project management, are two sides of the same coin. If we do a quality project in a year when it was expected to take 6 months, it is of no use. Right? If you do the project in 6 months but don't achieve the goals of the project, it is again of no use. So, while the subjects evolved probably through separate streams, they are actually the same, or they should become the same. So that's something I've been trying to push both the organizations to have a combined course or a certification or at least a body of knowledge around these two subjects. Not successful yet, but I don't give up that easily. Uh, so moving on, there are
And
still
just
more
to add,
questions.
okay, I just wanted to add to what you said, Anshuman. If you
Sure.
go through all of Dr. Duran's books, he always ends by saying, "Make no small plans. The quality plan should be a part of the business plan, and the only way to get there is project by project, no other way."
Absolutely, absolutely. I think and the wisdom is all there. We are only plucking some flowers and fruits as we go along. So, Sumant, I think one very important question that at Kimpro we have been grappling with also, and we've been very keen that the qualitist movement should actually embrace this. And Balaji and I wanted to quiz you a little bit on this. That quality has evolved, these days, to include environment and sustainability as key focus areas. With so much depletion of natural resources of all kinds, focus on environment and sustainability is actually not even a fancy thing now. It is almost an essential thing. Any views there on how do you think industry in general, or quality, can move towards green quality? So, and green
Uh,
of course includes environment, sustainability, everything.
so basically, today customers are moving towards sustainability. They are looking at sustainable products. There are brands who are actually showcasing what the carbon footprint of the product is from the time it was conceived till the grave. So sustainability is in a long way, and we at Titan are also looking at sustainable. Uh, we are looking at introducing products made from agricultural wastes in our pipeline. We are looking at how we can recycle more gold rather than using fresh gold. We're also trying to see if we can get diamonds of which are sustainable rather than mining it, and therefore a lot of deforestation taking place. So sustainability is going to stay. It's a trend which is going to get stronger and stronger, and customers are willing to pay more for your product if they know that it's a sustainable product.
No,
And
no.
therefore this is going to be a movement in the next 10 years is going to be key. And if you ask me, maybe the criteria for any award will also make sure that sustainability is a part of it. It'll become a part for any recognition that any industry would be giving.
And very well said, Sumant. And I just want to remind the audience also, and those who will watch the recording, that Kimpro and the Qualitist program itself has been a front runner in this, because and Kimpro Foundation as well, we've had a focus on environment and sustainability for quite some time now. And probably having seen how everything was moving, and everything not following the trend, but actually making the trend. And that is extremely important now, because these environmental and sustainable point of views are no longer some some good boardroom topics which may not actually happen. but they are actually happening all across us with now organizations even offering 100% recyclable product packaging and all these kind of things. So yeah, Sumant, I think totally agree. I will take one more question from the audience before I move to
Anshuman,
Balaji.
let me add something more. So
Sure.
even the themes for a kaizens, for the manufacturing kaizens, earlier it used to be product quality, cost, delivery. Then
Hmm.
safety, morale came in. This year, environment has also come in as the key theme. And even in our innovation awards at the Tata Group, uh, sustainability has been a theme which has been there for the last 5 to 6 years.
Correct.
So we also look at sustainable projects coming in, and so all companies are also focused towards sustainability.
And I'll just remind, I think, good that you brought up this, Suman, because some months ago I had interviewed Ravi Arora of the TQMS, a Tata Group setup who handles the innovation at a group level, and he
Yes.
pretty much brought up the same topic. So those of you who are interested in that video, also, I'll leave the link in the comments. Have a look at that for more details on how. In general, the industry and of course specifically the Tata Group is doing work around these topics. So I'll take a couple of more questions and then hand over to Balaji. Little bit. So I have Sudha has two questions. If you were to define a qualitist to a layman, how would you do that? Though you've tried that earlier, Suman, but I think maybe a crisper definition. How much of a qualitist qualities do you apply to your daily life? So Sudha is getting you into trouble, but you are free to skip this question.
I think in a way I've probably answered both. So, qualities to a layman would be a person who is a practitioner of quality in both their individual and the professional life. Okay, and how much of a qualities do we apply in my daily life? Well, I try to do a lot of it, but as Anshuman also mentioned, that the work environment and the home environment are very different. And now, in the case of the lockdown and all, where there's a blur between workplace and home place, to a certain extent, they've understood that yes, when it's working, it has to be this way. So maybe there's some learning that will move on, brush off onto the home segment.
Yeah. So Sudha, I hope you had your answer, and of course, if you see the session from the beginning, you will probably get the answers to the first question as well. But thank you for
I,
asking the question. Yeah.
And actually, my friends, they call me the question man because I keep questioning everything. So one of the things is, as my role is to keep questioning, to try and understand root cause. So my friends jokingly say, "Here comes the question man. He will question everything that is told to him. He won't take anything at face value."
No, I think that's a fantastic way to put it. And a curious mindset is, a ingredient to quality. No qualitist can succeed if he or she does not have a curious mindset. If you can't ask why 5 times, which is one of the basic tools of quality, you are never going to get to the root cause. So, you are maybe very modest about it, Suman, but this is truly a true quality practice that, you ask why are you doing it, what is this. And a couple of days ago I was in a similar program, and this somebody asked me as to the what would you look for when you are hiring slightly middle to senior person. And amongst other things I did say that, look, while it is very popular to say that we need a problem solver, I actually need a problem finder. Right. So people who can find the problem are more critical to me today, because many processes are computerized or systematic, to say I don't even know where the problem is. Right. So I only know the outcome. If I knew where the problem is, maybe it's easier to solve. So it reminded your response reminded me of that. So questions pouring in, but I think time to go back to Balaji. Balaji, over to you.
Yep. Right. Sumant, any wrap up, 1 minute message that you want to give all of us and audience as far as quality, qualitist, the future is concerned? Anything that crosses your mind?
Uh, basically, I think this is a movement which will only become stronger. It's not going to get weaker and all, because and you got to have an open mind, be trying to look at mostly whenever problems surface, those are going to be probably the symptoms, and therefore you will have to keep questioning to get to the root cause. Once you identify the root cause, then you should be looking at solving those root causes, and this holds true both for quality as well as for innovation. And only then can you come out with solutions which really impact the lives of the customers. And that is, I think, what you should be looking at. I mean, if someone asks you, why are we doing this? And if you cannot relate it to a need of the customer or a pain of the customer, I don't think you should be taking that up, or you should be working on it. Or also, if it is not going to give you any impact or benefit, I don't think you should be hopping on that, but look at and try and look at the Pareto's law. The 20% of the problems or 20% of the issues will give me about 80% of the impact or the outcomes. I think that's where the focus should be. But if you get lost in the balance 80%, then you will feel that you are not making a difference, and you may tend to lose interest in this area.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks. That, I mean, yeah, we need to
Balaji,
find problems before the problem find us. Yep.
Balaji, I'll take half a minute to acknowledge. Sumant Lingesh Babu, it seems, it works with Titan, and
Yes.
he's confirming that what you said about being curious is absolutely right. So thanks, Lingesh, for the validation. We didn't need the validation, but always welcome to contribute. So thank you for your comment. Over to you, Balaji.
Yep. Unless we have any more questions, Anshuman, coming in, if you
There
want to
are
take.
questions, but some are repetitive themes. So, for example,
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Okay.
Dr. Nisha has asked a slightly interesting one. It just came in. How about aligning quality projects with Sustainable Development Goals, 2030 goals, which is the UN goals as a
Uh,
basic for the plan?
so basically, these are not quality projects. They are now becoming business projects for us. I remember 2 weeks back, our MD and all the chief manufacturing officers met in the factory, and water has become a very important theme for us, and how we are going to take water forward. So these are going to be business projects and not quality projects. So the main thing is, if you can align your quality projects in line with your business goals, I think you will find that your projects will actually move forward.
Yeah. And
Right.
and since the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals are more UN, I won't say sponsored, but at least proposed goals, eventually companies will start adopting them. And like always, Tata Group and specifically Titan is ahead of the curve in this as well. So yeah, so that would be the last question I'll take. Balaji, truly over to you now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mr. Sumant, having you here, and I'd like to thank you and, of course, the wonderful audience. I mean, we wish we could keep this going and answer all your questions, but I'm quite sure that you could make a summary of that, Anshuman, and send it over to Mr. Sumant, and he would definitely look into it. Uh, just to tell the audience once again, okay, that the show recordings are available on our YouTube channel, and we would encourage you to subscribe, all right, for us to do better. And our next Qualitist show would feature another giant, Mr. Shailesh Ghodekar from Marico. The date and time, of course, would be announced in the future soon. So thank you all very, very much, and we hope to see you soon for our next Qualitist interview. Till then, please stay safe and please practice MSD, mask, sanitizer, and distancing. And of course, please have a great quality time ahead before we meet again. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Suman. Thank you, audience. That would be
Thank
all
you,
for today.
Anshuman. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, the audience, and thank you, Quimpro, for giving me this opportunity to be part of this show.
Our pleasure, sir.